Hello, everybody. We are back on YouTube for the second podcast session of the day for the Ashish Sports and Political Podcast. So, I went to break talking about the rift that has now become public and can be accessed by anyone from this new book. This rift that this new book has shed light on between Tom Brady and Robert Kraft with Bill Belichick. Why I say Tom Brady and Robert Kraft is as we're getting to read in this book. So Belichick, like all the other players, see these slippage signs. Days of practice, missing. Right? Injuries, up. Completion percentage, down. Yardage, down. It's clear to everyone now that he is slipping. It was clear in practice then to his teammates and to his coach. And he was getting older. I mean, everyone slips at some point. Everyone does. Brady is not immune to that. He won't be invincible. And we'll get to his weird training methods later. But so Belichick goes to Kraft and says, "Look, we want. I know Brady's great. We love Brady, but the dude is 40 years old, going on 41." And he probably also said, I didn't read the entire story. It's just an excerpt of a book right here. He probably also said, hey, look, his performance is declining. Not rapidly, but steadily enough to where you can see it on the field now. He didn't say this in December. I'm saying it now. You can see that Brady is declining, but the players can see he's declining in practice. If the players could see it, you don't think Belichick could see it? Of course he could. He probably went to Kraft citing all these things as well. He's not going to just go there and say, look, I want to trade this guy because, I want to trade this guy. He's going to have reasoning. There was obviously evidence to point to it, as the players thought he was slipping somewhat as well. And Kraft said no. Kraft said no. So Belichick didn't have to trade Garoppolo because Garoppolo would have walked. And they traded him for a second round pick, which, in all honesty, might have been, it's something, but it's as close to how much, it's as close to zero value for that type of a commodity, especially to the team that he traded him to in San Francisco. It's practically nothing, right? Why would he do this? First of all, a little disclaimer here, a little side note. He said no to Cleveland. Cleveland kept asking for him. I think they might have even been willing to give up the number one pick for Jimmy G. Belichick said no, obviously, because Cleveland fired him from his first head coaching job. Grudges are hard to get over, people. And he didn't get over that one, so Garoppolo doesn't go to Cleveland. He goes somewhere outside of his own conference. Smart. non-playoff contenders, so you don't see him in the Super Bowl. Smart, right? So he in this book he says he texts Kyle Shanahan, says text me when you wake up or call me when you wake up. Do you want Jimmy G for a second? He said sure. That's what went down according to this book. But why would you give someone up for zero value? Right? Why would you give someone up for zero value when you're the guy known to take the most value out of anything that you want? Why? Because number one, his legacy. Number two, his grudges. Right? He was hurt by Robert Kraft taking Brady over him. So there's a lot of speculation now that Belichick is going to walk from this team either into the sunset or not quite with Tom Brady. And the book also says that Belichick is keeping his assistants ready for head coaching jobs, which he has never done. So he's going to take away Brady's best. He's going to take away his staff, including Brady's offensive coordinator. Let go of two quarterbacks. He can't make personnel decisions anymore. They have a 41-year-old, obviously declining quarterback with Rob Gronkowski and a bunch of other no-name wide receivers. Rob Gronkowski is not no-name, but he's with the other guys, so just had to add that. He's trying, number one, to stick it to Kraft for saying, you chose Brady over me, this is what you get. Number two, I think this is a legacy play. This is a legacy ploy by saying, look, if Kraft would have shut up and just bought into my system, he doesn't know anything about football, he's a businessman. I'm a businessman that knows football better than anyone to ever coach this game in its history. You chose an aging quarterback over me. I'll stick it to you. And second of all, he's out there to show that his system is the greatest system ever. His system of picking talent, finding talent, getting rid of guys before they hit the rock bottom. A team culture where there are boundaries. Two things are going to prove this. Jimmy Garoppolo being a star in San Francisco is what Bill Belichick wants. Because Brian Hoyer is no successor to Brady. Garoppolo would have been. Garoppolo should have been. He just didn't get the opportunity. If he shines in San Francisco, that tells you how great of a coach Belichick is, because he was able to identify that talent as well. Remember, he makes all the player personnel decisions, as well as the coaching ones. Number two, if the play calling isn't as creative, if Brady takes more hits, right? If Brady is forced to do things outside of his comfort zone, with these new offensive coordinators, with these new assistants, with the new offensive coordinator that's probably going to be hired, it shows you how he identifies coaching talent that fits with his players. Third, if Brady falls off the cliff, like Max Kellerman predicted last year, like he's still predicting now, which I actually think will happen now. If you look at the statistics, it seems as if the end is near for Brady. If Brady falls off, he will be proven right that you should trade the old slipping guy, even though the slipping might not be as large and as tangible. I've used this word a lot when describing the situation, compared to like Peyton Manning and his downfall. If Brady falls off that cliff, Belichick would have been proven right once and for all that this system is run by my decisions, was run well because of my decisions. If I was still there, if Garoppolo was there and Brady was out, we would be in contention for championships. Instead, your franchise is run by bums and an old quarterback that can't win. You chose family over business, and you're gonna pay the price, Robert Kraft. And the last thing he's gonna say is the last thing Belichick is gonna say is that, look, I know when to get players, I know when to get rid of players, I know who to get, I know which coaching people to get. I'm a great identifier of talent and ability, and I'm the greatest coach ever, because not only was I able to handle coaching responsibilities, I was able to do personnel at an elite level. And the only time it didn't work for me was when the decision was out of my hands, was out of my control. And that's going to be his legacy, if it all plays out the way I expect it to, the way he probably expects it to. And it's going to set up an interesting debate about this Patriots dynasty, and the narrative might change from Brady to Belichick within the next 3 years. It might among media. But he just wants to stick it to Robert Kraft. He wants to stick it to the media. Those people thought that Brady was more important than Belichick. With him leaving, I expect him to leave. There's a lot of talk that he'll leave. I expect him to. With Brady declining somewhat fast, with Garoppolo being a star, it seems all but inevitable. The legacy of Bill Belichick is only going to amplify from here. And it's just the way he wanted it to go. Okay, so great to have you in today. Still have a lot more on the podcast. This is going to be a big, long podcast because I did not expect this much sports news to come in from ESPN today. John Gruden coming up, but I've talked about the more important aspects here. I haven't talked about Brady's side to this, but it's not very big. There are interesting parts about his trading methods, which I brought up earlier that we were going to talk about. Those, for me to say that Brady was threatened by Garoppolo, yeah, that's true, that's in the book. All this other stuff that I'm saying is in the book. It's just an easier way to get the medium other than actually reading the excerpts, reading the story. A little bit more analysis in terms of what Belichick's motives are. But Brady has this TB12 weird eat good, drink lots of water, sleep, stretch, optimal performance. It's like PEDs but healthy stuff. It's weird. So he writes this book. He has a cookbook and stuff. Weird, man. But he wrote this book. I didn't read the book. But in this book it says that if you follow these habits, right, you should be healthy. You shouldn't blame your injuries on sports. It's about your lifestyle. What? Are you kidding me? Okay, because this tells me things about Brady, and this tells me things, just plain looking at it, how stupid that statement is. Okay, look. Eating right and stretching have nothing to do with head trauma. They have nothing to do with head trauma. What has more to do with head trauma is getting the ball out before anyone can hit you. Making decisions quickly. It has nothing to do with a lifestyle. It has all to do with how you study the game, so you don't have to sit in the pocket, so you don't have to run around to make things clear in the course of a game. Right? You don't have to run around and create chaos in defense and create wide open lanes. If you're accurate, if you make decisions quickly, if you decipher information quickly, automatically your risk of head injuries reduces. My point being, it's not the TB12 method that does that. Now, I haven't read the book. I don't know what it addresses in terms of head injuries. But to not blame injuries on your lifestyle, and to not blame them on the sport, that's ridiculous. Okay, if he had at least said, you know what you're getting into, don't blame it on the sport, you decided to play this game, I would accept that. I can't accept this. The TB12 method is going to help you from head trauma? Are you kidding me? No, it's not. It's not going to prevent twisted ankles, ruptured Achilles. The TB12 method, you know what it is? It's eating right and taking care of your body so you can play for 15 years. So you're in shape. So that there's no regression in terms of your body shape and how to perform athletically. That's what this is. And it's one of those weird diets where you eat these horrible tasting things and you become all nutrient-y and vitamin E. That's how I've heard it to be. Yeah. So the guy that introduced him to this went by the name of Robert Guerrero. That boxer. He's also a boxer, I think. Not this Robert Guerrero, but Robert Guerrero is also the name of a boxer. And yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. But he's the guy that ran this regimen for He is the guy that ran this regimen for Tom Brady. And Brady wanted to make this TB12 thing his brand. He aspired for franchises of it. The way it sounded, players said it sounded cult-ish. Sounded like a cult. And why wouldn't it? You do this, you're gonna be optimum health all the time. Don't blame it on the fact that 200-pound guys are coming at you full speed. Blame it on the fact that you're not doing this. How does that not sound like a cult to you? It does. It is a cult, somewhat. Okay? So, Belichick was like, hey, okay, cool. You're a little weird dude doing this stuff. You do it. You're a Hall of Fame quarterback. Do what you gotta do. But then, it becomes weird. Because Brady's personal brand and his training habits, because that's part of his legacy, the fact that he was so durable, other than the ACL, he was so durable, and this is why, and because he was so strict to this, because he was so disciplined, and because he invests in this method, he wants to invest in this method not only as a football player, but as a businessman, very important to him. So much so that according to this book that came out, apparently the new players that were going to fill in for Julian Edelman, as well as some of the mainstays, in order to have cachet with Tom Brady, went to the TB12 centers in the facility, were treated by Robert Guerrero, instead of going to team doctors like Belichick would like anyone would, because that's what team doctors are supposed to do. Now, lastly, Alex Guerrero, not Robert. I knew I was saying that wrong. But that just tells you the weirdness of Tom Brady, that in order to get close to the guy, in order to create cachet with the guy, you have to be in his weird little training regimen for you to be accepted. I mean, come on. Right? He wants to show how great he is, how different he is from everybody else. And he does that in a weird way that's alienating a lot of players. And that's alienating Bill Belichick, because Bill wants everyone to do it the normal way, like I would, like anyone would. Because these TB12 methods, I know Brady is still durable. He doesn't have a pot belly, but he's lucky that he hasn't been hit. That's his reason for not getting hurt. It's not him being out of shape. Ben Roethlisberger is 60 pounds bigger, has been talking about retirement for 4 years, and is one of the most durable quarterbacks in the NFL. This is about Tom Brady's personal brand. This is about his legacy as a businessman, and it's also part of his legacy on the field because he invested in this. He chose to do this. He's more disciplined than anyone else. He is more durable than anyone else. He is greater than anyone else.